So, good morning everyone. So, for this morning, what I'm going to do is to explain and to elaborate with regards to the exercise prescription to the cardiovascular and to the muscular resistance training exercises that I made for my client. So, let's start with, so for the cardiovascular conditioning program, so I am going to attach the table in the video. The table that I made that I recommend to my clients. It is her basis so that if she can follow this one, it would be better. So cardiovascular conditioning prescription, so the frequency is, it is 3 times a week. So, and its intensity is a resting heart rate. So talking about the resting heart rate is that what would be her heart rate when she's at rest. So it is 84 beats per minute, and as we all know that the normal heart beat of a particular person is 60 to 100 beats per minute, and her heart rate reserve is 62%. Target heart rate is 140. So how did we come up with 140? It is 220 minus 46 or minus her age, and then it will be subtracted again with the 84, and 84 is our resting heart rate, and then it will be multiplied by the heart rate reserve, which is 62%, and then will be added by the resting heart rate, which is 84, so we come up with 140. And then our HR at high interval is 140 beats per minute, and this is our target heart rate. Next is, let's proceed to the HR at low interval, which is 101. So HR at low interval is 70, and then its work rate of perceived exertion is 12. So if my client will do the exercises and then she finds it somewhat hard, so its corresponding work rate perceived exertion is 12. And then let's proceed to the warm up. So warm up is 5 minutes at low interval, and then the stimulus is 13, and its cool down is 3 minutes. Cool down is somewhat like you are, what do you call that one? You are rest. You are at rest. So after you do some exercises, so you need to have some time to sit for a while, to rest. And number of cycles is 1, and the type is running. So the type of exercises that I recommend to my client is running. Running is very effective when it comes to lessening or elevating the sad condition of my client, which is hypertension, because I do some research and found out that running has a lot of benefits in our body, especially to those persons diagnosed with hypertension. So running, like all forms of regular exercise, can effectively slow or reverse the effects of aging. And aside from that, it is said that running is 90% mental and the rest is physical. So the third one, or the third benefit that I found out when I do some research, is that running for 45 minutes to an hour can decrease both systolic and diastolic blood pressure readings by 10 to 12 mgs. So the US Department of the Health advises adults to get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise each week for an average of about 21 minutes a day. So physically active people have a 60% lower risk of Alzheimer's diseases than non-exercisers. So here we can really get a lot of lesson that exercise, that doing some exercises a day or doing exercise regularly could really give us a good effect in our body. So since we are done with the cardiovascular conditioning prescription, so now let's proceed to the muscular resistance training prescription. So what is that resistance training, and how does it going to help us or benefit us in other way? So the resistance training benefits is that it will going to improve our muscle strength and time to protect also the joints of our body from injury. And aside from that, it will also maintain the flexibility and the balance, which can help us to remain independent in our age. And lastly is that the weight management and the increased muscle to fat ratio. So this resistance training, it will going to induce a significant blood pressure reduction in its normotensive or pre-hypertensive study groups. So now let's proceed to the table. So again, I'm going to attach the table. So the muscular resistance training prescription. So I'm going to read this. So the training age. So the age of my client is 46. So she is 46 years old. And then goal. So our goal for this one is for her to increase her muscular endurance. And the volume is moderate. Why did I put a moderate? It's because my client is under the moderate risk, in which here under the module, the moderate risk is that the client is safe to begin the light or the moderate intensity exercise, in which it should undergo further medical assessment before partaking in vigorous intensity exercise. So last year, my client had already undergo the what do you call that one, the medical assessment from her doctor, in which she was told to do some exercises in which she could then find herself struggling in that kind of exercises. So next is the frequency. So my client will going to do these exercises for 3 times a week, and then its session or duration is 40 minutes, including the warm up and the cool down. And then so let's proceed to the stretching. So before we're going to that our specific exercises, we must have first to do the warm up. Warm up is her recommended warm up are quadriceps stretch and the triceps stretch, and both have the same duration, which is 2 minutes, and have 2 sets, and then its repetition is 12. Next is exercise. So her recommended exercises are the squat, the lunges, and the biceps curl. Next, cool down stretch is the sit and reach. Lastly is the inhale and exhale. So knowing the hypertension had different red flags. So these are the different red flags or the special considerations that we need to be aware of with a person diagnosed with hypertension. So I am going to read this for you to be aware. So I am basing this in our module given by our teachers. So special considerations, first is antihypertensive medications such as beta blockers and diuretics impair the ability to regulate body temperature during exercise in hot and or humid environments, and mask symptoms of hypoglycemia, and thus people using these medications should be educated on the signs or the symptoms of heat illness, the role of adequate hydration. That's why it would be very important for us to drink water every single day. Second is the proper clothing to facilitate evaporative cooling, the optimal times of the day to exercise, the importance of decreasing the exercise dosage or its time and intensity during periods of increased heat or humidity, and methods to prevent. So that's all for today. I hope you have get a lot of lessons out from the explanations that I made earlier.